So welcome back, folks, to Bleeding Cool's weekly recap of Syfy's adaptation of the graphic novel series Happy from Grant Morrison and Derek Robertson. This guy right here is your friendly neighborhood Ray Flook, television beat writer for Bleeding Cool. We're going to jump right in because for those of you who don't know, two things. One, tonight is the season finale where hopefully we get some answers. Obviously, we're not going to be getting a lot of answers because of the next thing I'm going to talk about. But hopefully it seems like everything's leading up to a really big confrontation with Very Bad Santa, as you'll know and understand as we go through the recap. But that's the first part. Second is, you notice I said season. It's because if you haven't been reading Bleeding Cool, and really if you haven't, why the hell not? Seriously. But yeah, Happy's been renewed by Syfy for a second season, which is no shock because of the huge numbers and demographics that the show has been getting. So congratulations to Happy, congratulations to everybody there. Can't wait to see where they go with the second season. Hopefully a few more than 8 episodes, which would be great. Kind of get it to the 10 to 13. Okay, for those of you who don't know what we do here, we start off with our top 10 quotes from the episode using my handy-dandy lore notebook just to make sure I quote everybody properly. Then we're going to jump right into our recap. But first and foremost, our first quote. I just think on Christmas the family should be together. Sax in a very ironic moment. Tell him I want a divorce. Blue's wife after making sure that Sax knew exactly where Blue was hanging out. Well, look who doesn't have a gag. Smoothie. To Hailey, very disturbing scene, and will be a sequence of very disturbing scenes. You just gotta hope you did it for a reason. A good reason. A damn good reason. When Sax can see in Happy's eyes that Happy's actually killed for the first time, it's actually a sweet moment in a very father-son kind of way. If, again, a guy who's been addicted to so many things is talking to an imaginary creature who isn't actually imaginary about killing people and killing other imaginary creatures, I guess, yeah, but a very sweet moment nonetheless. Not exactly Hemingway's Indian Camp, but you kind of get the point. I needed gangsters, and you gave me Spandau Ballet. Blue talking to Isabella about really not showing a lot of remorse for knocking off her boys. Oh, who am I kidding? I can't wait to get rid of you petri dishes. Smoothie, who again is just the scene stealer. Patrick Fischler, props to you. You're the scene stealer in the 7th episode. Amanda's a goddamn pit bull with a mean right hook. McCarthy, who clearly knows from experience exactly how good of a right hook she has. I'm going to show you why they call me Smoothie. I'm just going to let that one go. Get it out of me, Sax. Just going to let that one go for now. And the last one, what am I? What the hell am I? I'm the errand boy for psychopaths, and that's from Blue. At what I thought was probably one of the more memorable scenes from the episode, which is chock full of them, just visually alone. But from an emotional standpoint, it was very interesting, and I think it added a lot of layers and nuance to his character that we haven't seen up to this point. Very, very interesting to see where they move from here. So now we go from obviously our favorite lines to obviously our favorite episode. Not necessarily it's our favorite episode. I was just trying to work on a weird, not awkward segue. So we're going to be taking a look at the 7th episode, the penultimate episode for this season, Destroyer of Worlds. And we start off with an 80s music video. Now I'm assuming this gives us a sense of how McCarthy's mom would have sounded, how good of a voice she had, things of those nature, and how good a performer she could have been, because Smoothie makes reference to that in a previous episode. We also get to see Patrick Fischler in pure keytar mode. I think those are zebra print pants. I'd have to check back, but again, it's the 80s, so there was some type of animal printed onto way too tight pants. There's a joke about it being able to tell a guy's religion just by his pants, but I'm not going to go there because, you know, we try to go better humor here, better quality humor. So we go from that to the reality of McCarthy is present and there as they're taking her mom's body away. And McCarthy with the cold realization of, one, she realizes it's not only good for her mom, but it's good for her, but also it now has her out from under Blue's thumb. And let's just say McCarthy wants to make up for some lost time and wants to get out to Blue. Now, when that's going on, we cut to Sax. And when we last left Sax was in a pretty strange predicament, and now he's got a hold of both Blue's wife and kid. What's interesting about that is, as much as he's using them hostages, Blue's wife doesn't really seem to mind, and considering all the things he's done and she knows he's done, she's more than willing to give Sax the location of where he's at, and makes this great line of like, oh, and by the way, tell him I want a divorce, which we were talking about before. It really drives home the point. The Blue's son I'm just gonna leave that there. I will say this: the fact seeing him play with the trigger for the C4 and then watching it finally explode. Yeah, I was kind of a big fan of that. I feel like you just took Damien with the 3 6s off of the playing board, which I thought was great. We cut to a scene of Mikey, and Mikey, for lack of a better phrase, is what we refer to as feeding the beast. And when I talk about feeding the beast, he is just scarfing down raw meat, literally feeding whatever is going on inside of him. I'm feeling bad for the kid, and I'm kind of feeling bad for Isabella because we just still don't have a sense of what exactly was done to this kid when he was in the old country. Yeah, and I'm not sure if Blue actually has an understanding too. Though it's interesting, everybody keeps looking for the password. Anybody want to bet that Blue is the password and he's been saying it in front of their faces all this time? Just gonna kind of throw that out there. All right. We cut back now. Amanda decides to go see Sunny Shine. For those of you who don't know Sunny Shine was like the glam British rocker from the 70s that was like the kid show host in the very first episode. Turns out Sunny Shine shows seem to coincide with a lot of children's kidnappings. So Amanda's going there to make sure to see if he knows about it and if he can use his influence and celebrity to kind of get the word of the warning out there. And that's when she realizes Sunny Shine is a sunny shine of a bitch, is probably the best way to put it. Drugged out, jacked up, starts hitting on her, starts yelling about kids, and decide in a weird, creepy way, starts flirting with her and offers her tickets. And then comes the big surprise, because now he's not just a 6th level D-bag, he's a 10 level D-bag, because he's our dung beetle, ladies and gentlemen. I know some people are calling him bug and everything else. I'm just going to go with dung beetle, because especially after this episode, I think it kind of fits. So Dung Beetle Boy essentially gives the word to security. Amanda's not to leave these premises. So now we cut back to Blue and to Isabella. Blue is rolling up with his people into Isabella's home and wants to know where Mikey is and wants that password. And what better way to try to get access to that information than picking off members of Isabella's reality crew, which they do and waste no hesitation doing it. This is the confrontation where there's that great line about Blue wanting gangsters and instead getting Spandau Ballet. Now we cut back to Amanda, who is essentially trying to find her way out of there. And by the way, it's a drinking game every time I say essentially, so I think half of you should probably be bombed by now. Amanda stumbles upon. I'm gonna go here. I call it a bug rave, bug orgy, but essentially it's big dung beetle presiding a bunch of people in very tight, leathery, uncomfortable when you sweat type things that are just gyrating and partying and everything, and these 2 things come out that look like combinations of like Teletubbies and zombie anime things and stuff you would never want coming at you in an alley. And they strip down and there's these weird meat looking things and everybody starts licking on it and stuff like that. And interestingly enough, Amanda becomes transfixed by it and almost starts gravitating her way towards it until she realizes they're all looking at her, because guess who's not supposed to be there? Her. So she's got to hightail it the hell out of there. Okay, we're going to cut back to McCarthy. McCarthy is after Blue. More importantly, she's after Blue's car because, you know, Blue's car, here we're going to go. Here's the problem. Blue's car is now in the custody and control of Sax, who got it from Blue's wife. So when McCarthy decides to try to run Blue off the road and damn near kill him, it's actually what he's doing. She's doing that to Sax. Thankfully, they get to a clarification on it and decide to actually begrudgingly start working together to fix this case. At that point, Amanda calls McCarthy, lets her know that I'm at Sunny Shine, S is going down, this is basically where everybody needs to be. Okay. We cut back now to Smoothie, who's getting the kids nice and properly packaged, like Barbie doll / action figures, costumes, the full deal. You saw semblance of it last week. We start to see the full reality of it this week. Okay, we are now at Sunny's Rainbow Castle. McCarthy and Sax decide to split up, so we follow McCarthy first. McCarthy stumbles upon one of those huge, disgustingly weird, bizarre zombie anime Teletubby bear things that apparently is also really, really strong and just starts beating the living crap out of her. Thankfully, McCarthy gets a hold of her gun, and after pretty much emptying it into the belly, it looks like, I'm going to say belly, but I think she may have just taken out the entire crotchal region of it. It dropped after spewing some pink and other disgusting, I'm assuming, alien-type crap. So we have McCarthy safe. We cut to Sax. Things aren't going to go so well for Sax. Sax is hearing Smoothie from the other side of the door into this stage classroom. So he goes in not realizing that it's recording, and by then, it's too late. Smoothie's on top of Sax. They're riding around, but Smoothie's got the chloroform on him, knocks him out. Next thing you know, they're in this room. I think it's This Much Is True is playing. I'm not positive because I was too caught up in the idea that there was planetarium film being shown all on the walls as Sax was tied up, bent over a table, and wow, do we get a situation where we were just not expecting. Smoothie decides to drop trow and explain why he's Smoothie, and why he's Smoothie's think Ken doll is probably the best way to put it. However, that also makes it easier for him to attach certain sexual apparati. I'm not sure if that's the right word. And he's basically just going to, I guess, drive his point home to Sax in the prone position that he's in. So that's essentially where we're going. He's lined up. Smoothie's giving the explanation about being the destroyer of worlds, thus the tie into the episode title. And thankfully, McCarthy with Happy comes storming in, and she shoots Smoothie, and Smoothie takes the bullet in the eye and staggers away, pans down. Very weird, disturbing scene. So thankfully, McCarthy and Happy were able to make it in time. Almost. Yeah, here's the problem. McCarthy looks down and finds the strap-on. You ever heard the expression, "M break it off in you"? That's kind of what Smoothie did to him. Broke it off in him. And Christopher Maloney, what would probably be a t-shirt, and hell, be great Funko, get it out of me. I was surprised it didn't trend on Twitter. I was very disappointed with that. But yeah, I think that kind of says it all right there. Now we cut back to Blue. Blue is on the dock. He sent the truck out with all the kids on it. It is on its way. And Blue has an existential crisis where he just breaks down. And this is where I've said before, where I think it adds more to the character, in that he's come to this realization of, like, what the hell am I? Like, seriously, he calls himself an errand boy for psychopaths, and it's the best way to describe it, because that's what he's become. You're essentially kidnapping, peddling, and for lack of a better phrase, feeding children to something. You know, and in this realization and in this moment of understanding, and with one of his guys, like, talking him through this, you got McCarthy and Sax coming with their own form of therapy, which is barrel through the door and kill every single one of Blue's people that's in that warehouse. And Blue, using one of his guys as a shield, decides to take off running. We have to have another split. McCarthy is absolutely going to go after Blue. Sax and Happy are going to go take off after the truck. So we see Blue running across. He jumps a fence. His sweater gets tied with some... his sweater gets caught up in some barbed wire, and it strings along as he's trying to escape and eventually falls. Symbolic greatly in the sense that the red yarn from his sweater matches the cat playing with the red yarn at the old Italian woman's house earlier in the episode, and we see the flashback to that now. We see McCarthy standing over Blue, and we kind of left there as to what she's going to do with him, which I think could be very, very interesting. Sure she's going to try and get some information out of him first. I'm sure she's also going to think about maybe possibly throwing him off of the building. I think one, two, or both options are going to come into play. Sax, they end up catching up to the truck, but here's the problem. They caught up to the truck because somebody else caught up to the truck. Kids are gone. Driver's got a bullet in his head. We find a little, for lack of a better phrase, clue at the bottom, which can only ominously mean one thing. Very bad Santa has him. So now we come to the season finale, where all roads lead us back to when Nick was first working with Blue, when he was just the very bad Santa, to the Sunny Shine episode when Hailey was taken. We really have come full circle. So while we may be getting an ending, we're still going to have a lot of big picture stuff, I think, that's going to take us into the second season, which I'm very excited about. But again, thank you guys for joining me. My name is Ray Fluck, friendly neighborhood television beat writer for Bleeding Cool. Don't hesitate to join us tonight. We're going to be starting up at 10 o'clock for the season finale. Not series, season finale, because it'll be a season 2. I Am the Future. We're going to be starting pre-gaming at 9 p.m. 10 p.m. is going to be our official start. Please make sure you join us. Check bleedingcool.com. We're going to be having the landing site for the live blog posting by 9 o'clock. So please make sure. We're going to have it on Twitter. We're going to have it out on social media to make sure that you're aware. So please join us. But thank you guys for joining me tonight, and see you this evening.